That's valid too. Having aged accounts on your credit with perfect payment history, man, that shows a lot. Because in this lending world, you got to put yourself in the lender's shoes. If you're coming to me to borrow $200,000, first thing I want to know is that I'm gonna get my money back.
For sure. For sure.
And your credit report. There's a lady, a loan officer named Shalonda. She's the loan diva. She calls our credit reports our adult report cards. And that's true. It's a depiction of your ability to pay your bills on time. So if I'm going to lend you money, I want to see that you have a good history of paying your bills on time. And having a lot of late payments and things like that, man, that kind of tells me that there's going to be some months where I'm going to have to be looking for you, and most people don't want to look for you,
when it comes to their money. Yeah.
to their money.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Speak Life Podcast. I am here with the credit restorer. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, Maurice. But that's not the name of his company, but I had to say that because, I have a personal testimony. My man has helped me over the past few years, getting me in the right position with my credit to not only make sure that I can make the right moves for my family financially, but to secure and take care of my finances so I won't put myself in the hole that I was in prior to talking with him. So everybody, let's say what's up to Maurice, man. How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you for having me, on this podcast, just to share information, man, about something that's vitally important, which is credit.
Yeah, for sure. So tell everybody who you are at this moment right now.
At this moment, I'm the credit restorer, as you said. I love credit. I love what it allows people to do, and I think it's so important to educate people on something that for decades and decades we've been miseducated on. So I'm a full-service credit repair person. My company's the Credit Restore Station. I specialize in the removal of negative, inaccurate, and derogatory accounts, as well as credit score boost. I offer free credit counsel. I give credit advice, guidance, and direction at no charge. I only charge for the work I do. I feel the information should be free, but if I'm going to do the work, that's what I charge for.
I like that, and that's very honest and noble of you, because a lot of folks get turned around or turned off by the idea of saying, all right, I'm gonna get my credit fixed, but I don't want to pay goo gobs of money and I'm in the same position as I was before, or I didn't learn anything. I just gave my information to somebody and next thing you know, I got decent credit. And like you say, I agree with you. The information should be free and people should be able to take hold of this and make it work, not only just for themselves, but for generations coming after them. I mean, credit is very important. So how did you get into credit?
I always tell people that, I guess it kind of tells your age. I'm not just the Credit Restore Station owner, but I'm also a client,
For sure.
telling my age. But my life, I looked at my life one day. I had recently got married. I had 27 collections and 3 judgments on my credit. Yeah, I'm yet to see credit that was worse than mine at that time. I still have the credit report, to show people as proof. But I had recently got married, and I tried to get an apartment for my wife and I and our daughter, and everyone was denying me. And then a family friend who managed an apartment complex, she called me in after hours and said, let me see what I can do for you. And she ran my credit and said, with credit like this, you won't get approved for a piece of bubble gum. So I still hear her saying that in my head.
That's tough.
So she did rent to me, and she told me I need to jump on this. And so I did. I got on a computer and started researching credit, started learning about the dispute process. And this was back in 2007. So learned about the dispute process, and I began disputing with the online process with all 3 boroughs, those 27 collections. And out of those 27 collections, I only settled on 7, and I was able to get the other 20 removed through the dispute process. So in 2010, I purchased my first home. So because my credit wasn't together, it kind of forced me to live in a not so nice part of town. And that's what credit does for you. It's going to determine if you pay 3 times for a car or if you're only going to pay 1 time for this car plus a little bit of interest. It's going to determine what areas that you're forced to live in, or do you have options to choose where you want to live. So for me, I wanted better for my family. That's where it all stemmed from. So I had to do something about it. And I did, and in 2010, I purchased first home for my family, a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, and it just was a great feeling, So what I began to do was I went back to my church, and I started, looking for people that was credit challenged, or as I like to call it, had scars on their credit. And I began helping them with their credit, no charge. Just wanted to see if this works, if it was just a fluke with me or do I really got something here? And I helped multiple people, and I would send them back to my loan officer. And we created a partnership where I was fixing their credit, and then I would send them to her to help them get a home. And we helped so many people. I'm still connected with that loan officer to this day. Can I say her name?
Yeah, for sure.
Her name is Joy Senegar with Guaranteed Rate. I would say about 3-4 years ago, she started really putting my name in the wind with other loan officers, and it just began to spread like wildfire. So yeah, that's where it really all started from. And today, like I said, I have a full service business that I do full time. I retired from my job as a store manager with Aldi Foods for 14 years to do this full time. But it came from wanting better for my family. That was the motivation. And wanting other people to experience that excitement of, making that a huge purchase of a home, and being able to walk in and get approved for the things that you really feel like you can't get approved for,
and they can't deny you. It's like it's like the joke I hear when people go grocery shopping. And they like, oh man, I'm gonna swipe it. Is enough on there? Oh yeah, it's enough on this. Run it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
that's what it is.
I get it.
I was saying I was talking to my loan officer the other night, and I was talking how people will go to the retail stores and they run their credit, and their fingers are crossed, like hoping to get approved. Just to remove that. Because they know that their credit is challenged, and they're just taking a chance. They don't think they're gonna get approved, but hey, why not take that chance? And that's why people need to be educated on even things like that, as simple as inquiries and retail credit cards, and the kickbacks that these retailers get for running your credit.
Rewards and all that stuff.
It's a lot to this thing, man.
I see, and it's funny that you said 2007, because I remember 2007. I had just got married, started my family. We had a bunch of kids, young, in the same situation, trying to get out of my parents' house to move into something. And man, we had so much problems. Like, all right, we can put you in something, but pay the deposit, the security deposit, and 2 months rent or 3 months rent, something like that, just to hold us down until we fix the credit. And it's amazing because I've known you for a very long time. When we're in 2022, and it's just like, all right, now I'm taking the proper steps. I always figured out ways to. My thing was 7 years it's gonna fall off. So that's what
a lot of people think.
So it was like 7 years. All right, I'm gonna figure something out for 7 years, and then it fall off, and I'll be back at a decent spot, and I'll figure out something else that I need that's important and acquire that. But that strategy it's a game of patience, but it also doesn't give you the freedom that you just explained. You know what I'm saying? To be able to run my credit. It's all good. I ain't worried about what you got on, what's on there or anything. I got a good score, so now I'm feeling comfortable about it. But I remember those days, man. I remember those days for real.
And even with that, waiting for the 7 years, in many instances, people are waiting, but they're not building any credit history. And credit history is valid. How aged is your credit profile? That's valid too. Having aged accounts on your credit with perfect payment history, man, that shows a lot. Because in this lending world, you got to put yourself in the lender's shoes. If you're coming to me to borrow $200,000, first thing I want to know is that I'm gonna get my money back.
For sure.
And your credit report. There's a lady, a loan officer named Shalonda. She's the loan diva. She calls our credit reports our adult report cards, and that's true. It's a depiction of your ability to pay your bills on time. So if I'm going to lend you money, I want to see that you have a good history of paying your bills on time. And having a lot of late payments and things like that, man, that kind of tells me that there's going to be some months where I'm going to have to be looking for you, you know, and most people don't want to look for you,
when it comes to their money. Yeah.
to their money. So
You're a different person now that time.
it's important, man, and just knowing that one late payment, man, one late payment can drop your score by about 75 points. So this credit education stuff is important.
Wow.
So I tell people, like, call them, pay something. If you can't pay off the credit card, pay the minimum. But first opportunity you get, you need to pay that card down, because like with credit cards, they can't make money if you don't carry a balance.
Right.
They only make money off the interest you carry. And just kind of going back a little, you was talking about the whole 7 years and all that. Something you said had brought to my mind another thought. When I got my first car, it was my credit wasn't the best. And having bad credit will cost you. May cost you a lot, may cost you a little, but it's gonna cost you. My interest rate was 26%.
Lord have mercy.
26% on my first car. And these car dealerships, they'll tell you whatever just to get you in it.
For sure.
They'll sell you a bogus loan, 26% interest rate, whatever. And they'll tell you something that's simple, like, just get it now and then you can refinance later.
Yeah.
Because once that deal's done, they paid. That's between you and the
credit.
lender now. So it's just so important to, because we'll go get a car and it'll be the most bogus deal ever, and we just happy we got some keys and we got approved for something, regardless how bad the terms are. But you don't have to accept this.
And regardless of how bad the car is.
Regardless.
Let's be all the way real. You know?
Wow.
I remember around that same time, 2007, because I didn't have any credit established. So everything that I was doing was just building. So we got the townhouse and we needed a car. I had a car that I got from my mother. It was a Mercury Sable or something like that. And my wife needed a car, so we got 2 cars. I can work, she can work, and we got to haul around the kids. And I went to go holler at my homie at the Chevy lot, and he was like, man, I ran your credit, and all I can give you right now is this HHR. And I'm like, I don't want this car, man. I hate this. I hate this car. I don't want this car. I don't want this car at all. No, it can't go on my fleet. I'm not gonna put it on my name. No. He's like, man, but your wife might like it. I'm like, man, if I call this woman right now and I tell her he said, no, don't call her. We're gonna pull up in it. And I'm like, all right, man, I'll test drive it. We do that, but you ain't got nothing else for me. I need a truck. I got 2 kids right now, and she's pregnant. So, and he like, no, this HHR, I'll do it. If you got 2 cars, and you know the HHRs is small, the hatchbacks. Pull it up. She saw that truck. She saw that car and was like, I love it.
I love
man.
it.
So we got the car. I hate the car. She's cool with it. But long story short, man, I didn't pay on that car, man. I hated that car. So that messed up my credit immediately because I didn't want to pay on it. And only because I had to settle for what I had to, what was available for me due to my credit. And I mean, I had work and all that stuff, but it was like the credit paid a major part. The loan was dumb. It's like going to rent a center and renting something, and they only giving it to you for this high interest because you don't have enough to go put it on a credit card. Like at that time, I learned all that stuff, all the bad examples earlier in my marriage. PlayStation 3, I believe it was. You rent it for $250 a week. By the time you didn't pay for it, it's $1,500.
About 3 of them.
Yeah, 2 weeks I could have bought 2. You know what I'm saying? 2 weeks, at least one, and controllers in the game. But they don't. No one lets you know that, and therefore they give you rent a center. They'll give you bogus deals, and just because you're uneducated, they take advantage. And it's not like you don't have the money to pay for it because you're paying rent a center all the time until you don't want to pay on no more, or you pay that car note for the first couple of months until you don't want to pay on no more because you're not happy with the product that you have. And it's like, dang, how do you fix that? Oh, wait 7 years, go bankrupt, or the worst options opposed to being educated and knowing the other options, man. So I get it.
One thing I commonly see with clients is the miseducation on the use of credit cards. And that's what usually jams people up the quickest is the credit cards. They'll get their first credit card, they'll max it out, and then they'll pay the minimum due. And that's the worst game you can get involved in. The credit card companies are banking on you to do that because, as we said earlier, they only make money off the balances you carry because they can charge interest on that.
Right.
So if you got let's say you had a $30 minimum payment on a credit card, you maxed it out, $500, and you pay that $30. Really, it's like you paid maybe $6 because the interest they charge on that. So I've had clients who said, this credit card was only $500. I don't know how I owe them $560. Because you paying the minimum due, and that interest is accruing. And if I take a clean profile, I'm gonna tell you, a clean credit profile, and add what's called a trade line. That's when they become an authorized user on someone else's credit card. We add a trade line to that account. Their score will go up to about a 720 guaranteed. That's with nothing on their profile and adding a trade line. Their credit score will go up to about a 700. If that credit card, let's say it's $1,000, $5,000, whatever, if they max that card out, their score is going to drop down to probably about a 500, 520. And the reason I'm telling you that is because people don't realize that credit card balances affect 30% of their credit score. That's 1/3 of the battle with your credit report. So the first thing I look at when I look at a client's credit is, do they have open credit cards and what are the balances? If they pay those cards off to zero or close to zero, they're going to see a huge swing in their credit score just from that alone. 1/3 of the battle. And some people just drag their feet, and I'm like, look, I'm removing these negative accounts, but this is a big weight on your credit. I need you to get these balances down. So just putting something out there that people don't realize. We were taught to carry the balances. That's not the way to do it. Okay. We were, by design, I believe, taught the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, we're consumers. What I'm saying. I totally agree.
Yes.
Totally agree. Because if you give us, it's not like we're not capable of understanding or learning something new. But just like you just said, the credit report is your adult report card. So coming out of high school, some of the things that you'll see at college fairs is Discover Card, American Express, or student loans and things of that nature. And they're like, we'll just get credit. So in our mind, from a kid to 18, credit card is just swipe. You need something, you swipe. Pay for it, minimum, and keep swiping because it's other people's money. You pay it how you pay it. Manage it. Don't max it out, but just keep swiping, right? And not building, but just keep swiping. And then no one says, but if you take care of this is your adult report card.
Right.
So if you do good on this get you that house you fantasize about, that Rolls Royce that you always talking about, the business loan that you need for your business and these ideas that you have. No one puts it to that simple concept because that's simple. If you're a kid coming out of high school and you've been dealing with report cards since elementary, why wouldn't you flick the switch and say, all right, now you got a new report card, and it's called your credit report. And this is how you maintain it. You want to make sure that you have low balances on your credit card. You want to make sure that you don't have so many inquiries. You want to make sure that, all these things play a part so you can get straight A's, sort of say, or get that 800 or that stay in that 750 and up range. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I know for people of color, our parents, I know my parents, I'll speak for me, my parents didn't have good credit. And their parents probably didn't have good credit. So it's kind of generational. I know for my family, it's a generational thing. And for many others that I've spoken with, same scenario. My mom helped me get my first credit card, helped me by just telling me, apply for this credit card, And then when I got it, she said, all right, let me use this to go get some tissue.
Just like that.
It was a $200 limit card. And she said, I'm going to just grab some tissues. I've still yet to find tissue that costs $100, but
wow.
So she helped me max it out, but she never gave me the advice of paying it or paying it off or paying it on time.
Right.
And I don't fault her. Yeah. It's because she didn't know no better either, And that's one of the biggest things is we're just not taught. I remember the first time I witnessed an 800 credit score. It was for a family member, and he just wanted me to pull his credit to take a look at it. So I pulled it for him, and I saw just tons of accounts with years and years of perfect payment history, everything green, never a late mark at all. balances all low, and his scores was in the 800. And I said, why does your credit look like this? I knew what he was going to say. And he said what I knew he was going to say. My dad always told me to pay my bills. He said he stayed on me. Did you pay your bills? Make sure you pay your bills. Don't ever be late on your bills. And it just goes to show, when you have people in your family that's educated or understands credit, and they give you that push or tell you the importance. We grow up with dare, dare to be different, don't do drugs. And look, we listen to it, It's just the simple things that are said to us we'll do if we have somebody to tell us what to do and why. Yeah. But that's something that was never told to us. Yeah. Take care of your credit, pay your bills on time, don't be late because this will happen. Yeah. And it just goes to show he had that. And his credit 800 scores was a reflection of it. Yeah. So it's just being misinformed, but we're at a point now where a lot of people are changing that. Thanks. They're changing that dynamic. People are educating themselves. People are fixing their credit. And that's why I don't want to just fix your credit, but I want to make sure now from a business aspect, yeah, I would love to have you back as a repeat customer,
Yeah, keep messing up out here.
But how is that even building up? Like, even for my people, nothing.
It does it.
So
in your pocket.
It's plenty of tons of business out here.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you back.
Yeah.
I want to help you get rid of these, scars on your credit. Help you build up some good credit. Get your score up. Get you some good credit history, and then teach you how to maintain that. Teach you how to maintain it and build on that, because once you start getting access to those large limit credit cards, then equate that over to business credit, getting your 80 or plus business credit paydex score. Now, this is how you really become wealthy. This is how you really build. Because as you said earlier, the key is using other people's money to make money. And you can't even get access to other people's money because don't nobody want to lend you their money.
It's your report card. You're a bad student.
You're a bad student. So that's what we have to change, man.
Yeah, no, I dig it. No, you're not wrong with that at all. I think that's an amazing concept. And I think the example that you just said about it being taught in the household, in a contrast from different households. But it's like, man, if you have, let me think that's the right way to say it, because you have parents that don't know, right? And you have generational traditions passed down, right? And sometimes you'll have it so like the main thing in marriages for divorce is finances. Like no one doesn't discuss money, right? It's not cool to discuss financial literacy or nothing like that. Well, it's changing now. You know what I'm saying? The paradigm is shifting. But when our generation is coming up, and before that, no, it was either the woman handles the money, the man makes the money, no one talks about it, it just is what it is. And I think that has put us in a position to not be at the level that we're at, because it's some folks that are good, you know what I'm saying? There's some folks that are in a good position. But I think if it was more comfortable conversation, a more comfortable topic to discuss, because you get, like I say, man, people will talk about swiping and spending before planning financially. I want to talk to people about insurance or anything that has to do with an asset. No one wants to talk about it. We'll talk about being a consumer and losing money and spending money, and that bothers me. What are some of the things that you think needs to happen to make this more of a normal situation? That's
a really good question, because I believe we have been conditioned to think that way. We don't have insurance. What we do, but a lot of us don't. And it's like, if a person did have an insurance policy and something got tight, that's the first thing to go. And when it should be the last. But I think it's important to have those uncomfortable conversations, because not going off the topic of credit, but like in relationships, communication is usually a lack. And when I used to do like counseling and things like that, I would talk about expectations. And a lot of times in relationships, expectations are not discussed. We just assume the other person knows what's expected of them in the role. And then we're getting upset and frustrated when these unspoken expectations are not met. and finances being one of them. We never discussed how we're going to do the bills. But if we would have had that conversation early on, you telling me, what do you expect from me as your husband, or what do you expect from me as your boyfriend? If I have the information, I can act on it. But if not, I'm gonna do what I've seen done in the past. I'm gonna repeat what society has told me a man looks like, or whatever role models I had in my circle showed me what a man looks like. And that's a big problem. So I think that in relationships, we should communicate those expectations early on. And as you grow in that relationship, have another conversation. And you keep communicating, because guess what? In my marriage, 18-year-old Maurice ain't the same as 40-year-old Maurice. I like different things than I did at 18-year-old. If my wife doesn't know that, how will she know how to please me or whatever? So you got to communicate those consistently. And I think that's what we have to do a better job of, is getting comfortable talking about these things, because it's not an attack. Like I had to learn how to, I know this ain't a marriage session.
No, it's all good, because it's funny you said it, because me and my wife are on the same thing. Like you said, we're not the same as we were when we first got together. So now we're reestablishing roles and having this conversation just the same way you just said. It's very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
So like for my wife, she would bring certain things to me, and because I was conditioned to be uncomfortable when talking about these things, I would take it as an attack. And I had to realize, like, if anybody's attacking me, it ain't gonna be her. And if she is attacking me, it's to make me better. It's to make me realize something that I'm lacking. So I had to put my pride to the side and hear what she's saying, So even in the counseling, I used to tell people, listen to hear and not to respond. Hear what the other person is saying.
That's the word says.
Yeah, so swift to hear, slow to speak. That's why we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. We're supposed to listen more than we talk.
For sure.
And I think if we do that, really just try to hear what, the other person is saying, our spouse, our significant other, whatever. If we really listen to them and then put ourselves in their perspective and try to understand it, that'll change a lot of things. But back to your main question is, how do we normalize that? I'm gonna say it really starts with the conversations, and then it also starts with educating ourselves and starting to impress this upon our children. I literally I added my daughter to one of my credit cards. I got this credit card specifically for my kids, to add them as an authorized user to start building credit payment history on their credit reports. We pulled my daughter's credit report when she turned 18, and her scores were about 720s across the board.
Cool.
Starting off the gates with something that I didn't have.
For sure. For sure.
So that was it. We just kind of left it there. She ain't working, so we weren't really trying to do much more. So then I said, let's go ahead and apply for you your own credit card. So we applied for her Discover card, and Discover approved her for a $3,500 credit card. My first credit card was $200. So for her to get an unsecured credit card at $3,500, that's a great start. Of course, I told her you can't use it because you don't have a job to pay it off yet. But I started teaching her about interest. Like carrying a balance and what that's going to look like on your credit. If you max this out, your credit's not going to be a 700 anymore. Her mouth dropped when I told her it would probably go to like a 5 something. So I know she was understanding, and we had probably about a 30-40 minute lesson just on interest and how credit card balances affect your score. So it's like, and I told her I don't want to overflood you with information at one time, but we're going to have multiple sessions where I'm teaching you about credit. So I believe my kids are going to do very well in the credit world because I'm going to make sure of it. I'm going to make sure of it. So that's what we have to do. We have to gather this information and be diligent and intentional about sharing it and impressing it upon our kids. Pay your bills. Pay your bills on time. Don't be late. This, same thing he did to get him to an 800 credit score that his dad did for him. We have to do that for our children. So.
Facts. I dig that. All right, so you had touched a little bit, real briefly, on business credit, and you had said to make sure that your business score was a certain amount. So, and I know a lot of people that are entrepreneurs don't really understand business credit. They want to get into it because they need capital and funding for projects and whatnot. And you have the traditional way of getting, using a net 30 to build it slowly, or what's the other way? Being a personal guarantee for business loans and whatnot. Can we talk about that a little bit and explain it?
Yeah. So with business credit, I've been doing credit since 2007 when I started on my own. And for many years, people would ask me about business credit, and I would tell them like I built mine, through my own little trials and error. I didn't have much error, but I didn't have the time to really learn business credit. The way I educated myself on personal credit, I didn't have the time to educate myself on business credit like that. I just went through some steps and did some things, and I built one of my company's business credit pretty good.
So they're two different things, two totally different monsters is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I won't say monsters, I'm going to call it skill set, because monsters can be a little scary.
Right.
So,
there you go.
So, yeah, two different skill sets. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so once I kind of left my job, I resigned from my primary job and started doing credit full time. It opened up the window for me to dive more into it. And like my credit business, I have a landscaping company as well. I have really good business credit under the landscaping company. But my credit business, I just was so busy working on clients' credit that I never really took the time to build it. And so it was blank. But American Express, I'll give this out. American Express is very lenient with small businesses, giving them startup business credit cards. And they don't require you to be a personal guarantor. Like Capital One will require you to be a personal guarantor, and they're going to report it on your personal credit as well as your business credit. But American Express, of course, they're going to have you put in your personal information as the account holder. But this account is only going to appear as a trade line on your business credit and start building. So my first credit card they gave me was a $2,000 credit card because I had nothing built up on that profile. Okay. But to even come in the gates with $2,000 was great because I buy so much postage from the post office for clients. I'm using that 2 times, 3 times a month, that $2,000, and paying it off each month 2 to 3 times. So I requested an increase. They took me to $6,000. Then they took me down to $9,000 because I use it a lot. So that's another way to get your credit limits up is by showing that usage. But man, before that statement hit, my balance is back low. But they see the usage,
And when you mean back low, is like zero low or just like small?
It's close to zero as possible. But if I keep a lot of my credit cards at zero, the ones I don't use a whole lot, I keep them at zero. And I'll use them maybe once every 3 months so they don't be dormant. But I'm a big Amex fan. I got 4 Amex cards, 2 platinums, and then 2 a business credit, and then a Blue Cash rewards. The rewards that Amex give you is just unreal. So yeah. I'm a huge fan of Amex, and then some of my other ones kind of sit, and then I'll use them so they don't, go dormant. But credit cards are great because you can leverage your limits. You can leverage that credit and turn it into cash to fund projects and things like that.
I'm seeing a lot of folks talking about turning credit into cash, but I'm going to touch on that. But I want to talk about what happens if you leave your credit cards dormant, because you keep saying that, like, I don't leave them dormant. So what is the pros and cons of that?
Yeah, so if a credit card sits idle with no use for too long, the credit card company will close it. Why am I extending you this card and you're not using it? Yeah. So with Synchrony Bank, I know they're known for reducing your limit.
Okay.
They'll drop your limit out of nowhere on you. And some of the other ones will close the account if it's dormant. So you want to show some activity. I usually encourage people to use it maybe once every 3 months. So if you're trying to build limits, you want to show some activity in paying it off. But when I'm dealing with a client that I'm trying to build credit and get them established and take them out the rut, and they have credit cards, I tell them to pay those cards to zero or as close as possible and don't use them. Don't use them while we're building you.
Okay.
Because the last thing I need is for them to miss a payment or to max it back out and the points drop. It's like, we ain't going to get nowhere that way. So, you don't want to leave it dormant for too long because you can lose it. And if you close an account, it drops your score.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it takes about 90 days to recover from that score drop.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, learn something new every day. Now, turning credit into cash.
Okay.
I see a lot of people talk about this. It's one of the hottest topics on YouTube. I follow a lot of people who talk about turning credit into cash from rewards. Can you explain that process a little bit?
I know what a lot of people do is, they'll have a merchant account. Merchant account for one of their businesses. And if they need $10,000 to fund a project, they're just charged the $10,000 from one credit card to another business's merchant account. And that credit is now transferred over and put into your other business bank account, and now you have this as cash to use to fund your project.
So you're saying two different. So I use my merchant account is in Amex, but I'm gonna use the Discover card, swipe it, and then put it in, even though it's still under my business name. It's just a different company that's giving me this card.
Yep.
That's how you. That's the play.
Yep. And now that merchant account is going to send that charge for 7,000, 8,000, whatever you charged. It's going to go into your business bank account. Now you can pull it out as cash.
That's the play. I like that play.
So now the downfall is, you're going to have a, let's say you did 10,000. You're going to have a $10,000 balance. But if you pulled some money to make some money, to make an investment on something, let's say you purchased a property and helped you to do rehab work, you're going to flip this property. So you may have to make the minimum payment, for a month or two until you get this property flipped. That's fine then. But then once you do it, you pay it off, you all good. So it's just understanding the game and how to play the game. That's like the most important part.
Interesting strategy. So just off the top of your head, what is one of the best strategies that you use that you can give to the people to build either personal or business credit?
I'm gonna say, well, if you've addressed all your negative factors, because your negative factors, I like to use the analogy of a clothesline. If you got a clothesline hanging in the backyard, tied from one tree to the next tree, that clothesline is going to be straight. It's going to be straight across. And then you put a towel on it. Guess what? It's going to drag down. And the more stuff you hang on it, the more it's going to drag down. Well, those towels and those garments that you hang on the line, I like to look at those as negative accounts.
Okay.
And negative accounts pull against your score, which is the clothesline. The more you remove those negative accounts, the clothesline will begin to go up, meaning your score will begin to go up until it's balanced. And if you want to take that clothesline higher, you have to have open credit or low credit card balances. So one thing that we offer to boost people's score is what's called trade lines. Those are authorized user accounts. And I'm an advocate for people saving money, so I always encourage them to check with a friend or a family member. If they have a friend or a family member with a credit card with a high limit, low balance, perfect payment history, if they add them as an authorized user, that payment history is going to show up on their credit profile and boost your score, because it's going to enhance your credit profile by making your credit profile appear better than what it is, and it's going to cause your score to go up. And like for one instance, I had a client. She jumped the gun. We cleared everything off her credit. Her score, I think it was a low 5. Nothing on there. Sometimes when you clear everything, it'll go to a 0 too.
Oh, wow.
And that's fine.
Oh, okay.
So her score was low. She jumped the gun and went and applied for a Capital One credit card. They approved her for $300. Okay? She had nothing on there. So then she comes back to me like, okay, I need those trade lines. So we added two $13,000 trade lines to her credit profile. With those two $13,000 trade lines on her credit, her score was about a 750 across the board. So then we applied for 4 credit cards. Over these 4 credit cards she was approved for, it was a total of $19,000 in credit. The biggest one being $9,000 by itself. So as you can see, with the 2 trade lines, she was able to get about $19,000 worth of credit. Without those trade lines, she got $300. So trade lines have their place. They're definitely beneficial. In her case, we added them. Then we got her own primary good accounts, and then we removed the trade lines.
Okay, see, that's what I'm going to ask you. So how long did the trade lines actually stay on the account once you're doing this process of rebuilding and getting everything back in good standings?
Good question. So different people sell for different lengths of time. They'll sell authorized user slots. So what we do is 30 days. 30 days from the day it lands for flat fee. And if you need additional time, we charge $100 per additional 30 days. Some people will have like quarterly packages where you pay for it for 3 months, which that's a good deal, because if you're purchasing a property, that closing day can keep getting pushed back.
Yes, sir.
So last thing you need to happen is for this trade line to come off and your score drop. But since we're talking about that, if you are in the process of purchasing a house and you're going to, and you add a trade line to your credit, you want to make sure you have primary accounts too. Because if your credit is a 700 and all you have on there is a trade line, that lender 9 times out of 10 is going to say this is not a true depiction of your ability to pay your bills because this is an authorized user account. This is not your primary account. So they're going to ask you to remove it so they can see what your credit really is. So that's why it's important. Like that client I was telling you, we got her own primary account. So when the trade line comes off, guess what? These are going to serve as a shock absorber and hold her score up. So when the trade lines come off, she might see a little drop, but it's probably going to be like 10 points.
Okay, so with the primary account, with the trade lines, are you still using the primary account while the trade lines are on there? Like, so the trade lines are just doing their thing, keeping the credit history on, showing, because I know some cards, I've heard this, I'll say I don't know, but I've heard some cards do show history and some don't.
Yes.
And it shows up for a certain amount of time or whatever like that. There are some stipulations that go with showing credit history. But as you're building the, I'm sorry, I forgot the word. Not personal, but the primary account.
Okay.
You're building a primary account, and you keep the trade lines on. Do you use the primary account and keep that balance low, or you just keeping it on there and it's not being used at all?
So once the primary accounts hit, it really depends on what you're trying to do also. But once the primary accounts hit, you technically don't need the trade lines anymore because you've been approved. Like I'm gonna use the client I just shared with you about. She got approved for a $9,000 trade line. Then she had a $3,000, a $4,000. Total, it was $19,000. So the trade line was just helping her get her score up. Now she has these primary accounts on there. So if she removed the trade line, guess what? Her score is going to stay up. So she no longer needs them. So she can use her primary accounts if she wants because she's building history on them now anyway.
Okay.
And if she carries a balance, she just needs to understand that her score will drop some the larger the balance that she carries.
I get it. See, I was thinking of it. I had it all confused. See, I was thinking that the trade lines were just trade lines, regardless of the amount of money she got from the trade lines. But those accounts that she got for that amount are now primary accounts, correct?
They're her own primary accounts that she can use. And then if she takes care of them, she can start selling trade lines.
Yeah.
She can
add
add
turn it
people.
into a business.
Yep.
I follow this guy, man, and he talks about that all the time. Like, once you get your credit straight, you can give the information to others, but for those who need trade lines, you can turn your credit into a business. Just like that.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow. And he was talking about doing it on a quarterly basis, do stuff for 3 months and just let folks run that course, how they got to do it. But I know a lot comes involved in that. And me being an entrepreneur guy that I am, I wouldn't want to play like that and with that too much. Just understanding that what comes with it, you got to make sure you hold somebody's hand and make sure they're doing right by the process. Because like you said, you don't want repeat customers. You want people to be straight and move on to the next level of their life. So, but I think that's a cool thing, though, that you can use trade lines like that, man. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you definitely can. They have their place, though. So, like I said, I'm an advocate for people saving money. And people be like, they come to me, all these collections and stuff, and then I give them a quote. They sign up, and they was like, when can I add a trade line? I'm like, hold on. let's get you cleaned up first. And then I said, and then we'll revisit trade lines if we need to.
Yeah.
But in many instances, if you have open credit, as those negative accounts come off, and your open credit is in good standing, you'll see larger score increases, because you already have open credit as long as your credit card balances are down. And 9 times out of 10, you won't need trade lines because you already have some established open credit. You just had some clothes on the line dragging the score down.
Yeah.
So you just have to take them tiles off the clothesline.
I get it. All right, so I want to talk about some obstacles that you had to overcome in this process of getting to the level where you at in education and application. Like, what was one of the hardest things that you had to overcome in this process?
Balance. I would say balance. I've always been one to do multiple things. I've had my hand in many different areas all at the same time. And you really can't be efficient and effective that way because something's going to lack or multiple things will lack. And that was my problem. I told you I had the landscaping. I had the cheesecake line going. I was doing credit. I was an assistant pastor. I was working for Aldi's. This is a lot of stuff to juggle. I was a youth pastor as well. So when I was doing all this stuff, so my first credit business was called SR Financial Services.
Okay.
And that business it was successful, but it was successful on a more teaching stage. Okay. It wasn't successful financially. I lost more than I gained from that business.
I know how that goes.
But I don't look at it as a failure because when I was ready, so I let it go. I'll start there. I had to make a decision because I was burnt. I wasn't really being efficient or effective, and I said I gotta let something go. And then I was at the church for youth night with the kids, and a parent came to me and said, Pastor Maurice, I was new to this church that I started pastor. She said, I don't know what you're doing with these kids, but all they do is talk about Pastor Maurice this, Pastor Maurice that. And I was at a crossroads on what I was gonna let go. Was it gonna be youth pastoring? Was it gonna be credit? And when she said that, it made my decision like I'm gonna put credit on the back burner for right now. So it wasn't doing well anyway.
Yeah.
You know, my setup wasn't good, so I let it go, focused on youth pastoring. Then later on down the line, I was still helping people, but I was only taking like 1 or 2 clients at a time.
Okay.
But then I was ready to get back into it. I said, okay, if you do it this time, it has to be worth your time. You know, it has to be financially worth it, you know, because I was spending a lot of time away from my wife and kids. I would do a consultation for an hour for the person not to sign up, you know, and I was losing a lot of time like that. So when I started the second business, I knew what couldn't happen.
For sure.
You know, so what I tell you, the first business taught me the expectations for the second business. So I made the adjustments for this, the Credit Restore Station, and it has succeeded ever since, you know, since the startup of it.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for the first one. So my thing was, my biggest obstacle was learning how to balance things where my family isn't being neglected. Like since when I left Aldi's, even I got unbalanced again. I was working till 3 o'clock in the morning on credit. You know,
I'll be up.
And then I'll be up. And then I was sleeping till 11 o'clock, starting my day at noon, but I'm down on the computer all day. Family's not seeing me. So I said, you got to get back structured. And I did. I put myself on a 9 to 5 working schedule. I don't take client calls after 5 o'clock. I'll take affiliate calls, you know, business partners, realtors, lenders, but I don't take new client calls or old client calls or current client calls after business hours, because once I leave that office downstairs, you know, my family deserves my attention, time. I play board games with my family. So now there's such a great level of peace and balance in my life that I didn't have. And, you know, my wife and I used to bump heads because she wasn't seeing me, you know, and I'm like, as a man, I'm trying to provide, you know, but
you know what you know.
yeah, but what I was doing wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So she had
a lot of
argument.
time. A lot of just
wasting time.
A lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest obstacle I had to come was finding that level of balance. And yeah, that's when I realized focus on this, fine tune this, you know, critique this, and structure this.
Yeah.
And when I did those things and got the Credit Restore Station structured, and then when I left Aldi's too, it really just began to soar. And like right now, it's kind of like on an autopilot. I go to my office 9 to 5, do what I got to do. I usually have my list of what to do each day already prepared. Knock out those clients before the end of my shift. I'm off to the post office, dropping off new client packets. Get back home, start my day with my family, man. And that's everything for me.
Inspirational. Because I'm a man looking for a balance right now. Just like you, I have a lot of ideas, serial entrepreneur. So we have the not-for-profit, we have the media company. Still like to play with music and get things done and be creative in that way. That's just, it's more therapeutic at this point because that's what I've always done. But, you know, support my wife and her endeavors, singing and traveling and all these things. I got high schoolers, I got a 4-year-old. So it's like, everything is everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but it's like you say, me being a man, trying to take care of the family, get everything going the way it needs to go, and you lack. And some things are being lacked on, and it's like, man, it's a constant struggle for me. I'll just be very transparent with you. It's a constant struggle for me because once I see some things going, I like to put more attention into it so it can be more successful. You know, and it's not like my family or household is all messed up. It's not dysfunctional at all, but I don't like to lose in business. So it's the tearing between both that really gets me in I don't want to say a funk because I'm not a negative person. I don't be feeling depressed or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But it is a challenge. It does put me in a challenging position. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want my kids to be like, when they get older, like, Dad was amazing entrepreneur and does all these things, but I barely talked to him in my childhood. You know what I'm saying? During my teenage years, we barely talked and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't want I don't want to be that dad. To God be the glory, I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? I still got some more kids coming down the way, growing up and going through the process that I don't want to get too involved in business where I miss that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you saying that, because I think it's a big struggle for a lot of men that want to be entrepreneurs and have a family. You know what I'm saying?
It goes back to that expectations.
Facts.
The uncommunicated expectation.
Facts.
I was that dad.
Facts.
My dad was an amazing provider.
Yeah.
Guess what? My wife called me an incredible provider. But that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're missing in these areas because I don't see you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what hit me one day, because I was doing all this stuff and I was even putting my wife second. You know, she would ask me to do stuff, and I would say, it was unconscious though, you know. I would say, I got to do this for so-and-so. I got to do this for so-and-so. And I was always doing this, but I didn't even realize that I was always putting her second to the needs of other people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she's going to be the one there for me, and they're going to be going about their business. But I would sleep one day, and I would go to my son's games and stuff, and I would go grudgingly, and I'm sitting in the stands there just watching, not involved, just there, you know. So I might as well not have been there, you know. Had a negative, you know, just kind of aura about myself. Wasn't mad about nothing, but just like, man, I could be doing something on the computer, you know. That's my mindset.
Yeah.
And, you know, they didn't really care for me to be there or care if I was there, you know. And it didn't bother me. But one day I was asleep in the bed, and Joel Osteen was on. And I'm just half sleeping. I hear him talking, and he said, what did he say? I'm a paraphrase. I can't quote the scripture, but paraphrasing, he was basically talking about seizing the time. Man, I wish I could remember what he said. But basically he said, this moment right here, like, and I'm going to use it in today's sense, this moment right here where we're sitting at these mics, when we leave out the room, we can't get this moment back.
Facts.
You know? And when he said that, I thought about it like, wow, you know, my kids are growing up. I can't make up for this time. And I jumped up, because I used to play all sports. I have some sense of skill in all these sports. I may not be great in all of them, but I knew the basics. And my son is trying to do these sports, and why am I not teaching him what I know? You know, I jumped up out that bed, got myself together. I ran to Walmart, bought me and him gloves, mitts. You know, I bought a little soccer net. I bought a pitching thing, a t-ball set. I just bought all this stuff, and I came home and started working with him. I got so involved with him in baseball, where I was going to the practices early, warming up with the kids, just doing this because this is important. And my son, I saw a difference in him. Yeah, he was glad to be around his dad now. You know, and at the end of the season, you know, the coach gave me a assistant coach trophy. Dope. I wasn't even expecting it, you know, but I started helping more with the kids. Yeah. But I just realized that our kids won't be young forever. And my godmother used to say, enjoy them while they're young, because while they're young, they lay on your lap, but when they're old, they lay on your heart. And what I began to realize is, even now, there was one time my daughter be climbing on my back, you know, Dad, you want to invest into my business? She was selling chips and stuff in school and brought me her business plan. And, you know, I was inspired by that, to see my little daughter thinking like her dad. Yeah. But now my kids stay in their room. My kids on social media. Y'all want to go do this? Nah, I'm cool, Dad. Yeah, we good. Yes. Oh my God. It's like
so weird.
Yeah. I be telling my buddy, like, dude, build these memories while they're young, man.
Yeah, I put a trick to them though, right? It's funny you said how you would start going to sports and be with your son. See, I did the same thing. When my son wanted to play football, I would we'd walk to the practice and whatnot, practice and be at all the games, and then he wanted to play basketball. And we started doing basketball, and I just started getting into media and whatnot. And I had started filming their games. And next thing you know, this ended up me doing this on a grand scale, like on a big stage and everything. Man, I'm sitting with my homies, and we're chopping it up. And we talking about our kids, and he's like, man, and we talking about kids being how they are. And my homie says, man, he don't even like to play basketball. He only do it because of you. And I don't play basketball. So he can't be doing it because of me, because I don't even play. I'm not good at it. Don't ask me to get on the court. Don't do that. You know, I'm not the one for that. And I ask him, and he says, yeah, kind of. come on, kid, I just started this whole business because of you. I'm in basketball because of you. I got so involved. And
Wow.
and that was me not being in that moment for my son. It was me being there, but still, let's figure out how to get some money. Let's figure out how to get some work done. Let's figure out how to make this work. And man, when he told me that, broke my heart. Because I can't stop the business. The business is growing. It's doing what it's doing. We're helping kids. They're playing basketball for free. Parents don't have to worry about paying these fees and nothing like that. And we're partnering with other not-for-profits to put them in positions so they can learn coding or financial literacy at a young age. And it's all good. But when he told me that, it was a shocker. So then I had to figure, all right, so how do I be involved? Because just like you said, they want to be in their room on social media. So I figured out, all right, well, y'all want to get a job. Well, y'all work with me now. And this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to be filming at your school. So, and that all kind of played a part. So God be the glory that all worked out. That's an answered prayer for real because, like I said, I didn't want to be that dad that was just the hard-working dad. And the kids got everything they want. They ain't wanting for nothing, but they want their dad. And they want to have these conversations with their dad, and I can't give it to them because I'm somewhere filming or I'm somewhere in the studio, and they can't be around because of the environment that's in the studio or where I'm at. Like, nah, y'all coming. Everything is teenage friendly at this point. You know what I'm saying? I don't do the same things I was doing when I was first in the studio, 18, 17. We don't even move like that. The music is totally different because I understand how the message needs to be put out because, like I said earlier, I'm more training the minds while they early. You know what I'm saying? When you look at I know we're not off. I know we're off topic of credit, which is all good. We're just talking right now, but it's good. I like the fact to see kids when they're like, I'm 14 and I'm graduating from Harvard. I'm 14. You see these articles.
Yeah.
But one thing that got to me in the entrepreneurial lane at a young age when I was at my family was Farrah Gray. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
My mama gave me his book. And he was talking, and I was when it started really getting to reading. And very great 13-year-old kid starting his own business. And by the time he was 17 or something, he already graduated, top of class or something, and had $1 million business. And you teach your kid this, that, if you can teach your kid that, wait a minute, hold on. I gotta change the because I don't want I never seen my dad work a job in his life.
Yeah.
He's always been the boss. But we never sat down and talked about this is how you get into it. Because just like him and just like me, providing. Providing, you know what I'm saying? So I don't fault him for that because I wouldn't have the spirit that I have right now. But, you know, as you evolve and grow, you don't want to do the same things your father did. You want to, you know what I'm saying, evolve and do things that you wouldn't do for your child because you know how that feels. So, you know, learning and all that. But, man, to understand that you can teach your kid to want to have a business at 13, have good credit at 18, and understand that taxes, you can make your kid work. You can have your kid work for you and write that off as a business. Like these type of tidbits that aren't discussed in our culture a lot, and we wonder why we're in a position that we're in because we don't want to take the chance to learn. That's why I'm like, nah, we gotta change. I gotta be different. Not for my kids at least. You know what I'm saying? If anybody else catches on, cool. But for my kids at least, and my little cousins who are watching me, and the kids in the neighborhood or their friends, if I can make an impression on them to make them want to be a little different. You know what I'm saying? I commend you for being a youth pastor because one of my best friends was my youth pastor.
Wow.
So I know the type of effect that has to see a person in a positive light that, one, standing up for God, 2, on his business, 3, having a family, and being on point. But you also being transparent to say that, man, it was a thing of balance that was messing me up. And I almost left the church.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, the things that men deal with on a daily and does need to be discussed more. But for you to be opening up and talk about that, I really do appreciate that, man, for real.
Hey, man, I believe that's the only way we really can connect with people is to be transparent, to be honest. I know we were a little off credit, but
cool. We still speaking life though. We speaking life. It's all good.
It's all in alignment because if you make you a better person, you know, if these things can help a person change some things about themselves, that goes right along with improving your credit. You know, as far as but
no report card.
What was I finna tell you about? I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, man. Happens to the best of it. Happens to the best of it.
I lost my train of thought.
But it's all good. You said you were at Aldi's for how long?
I was at Aldi's for 13 years. Yeah, 13 years.
And I'm going to just share a little tip because people don't know that. Me and Maurice, we go way back. You know what I'm saying? I remember first starting with my family and being at Aldi's and stopping to have conversations with you. Or we in the checkout line, or you'll be doing something with the produce, or you'll be like, man, come in this line, I got you, and we'll come in, and next thing you know, we'll be sitting there talking for 30 minutes, everybody mad, but we'll be doing our thing. And you probably don't, do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Okay, because look, I'm going to tell you, it's funny that you said that because when it all came back to me once I became a client of yours, it all came back, like, because everybody's like, man, you ain't been to Maurice, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to holler at Maurice, and man, who's Maurice, man? What is everybody talking about? Do I know Maurice? I should know Maurice. And then it hit me like, bro, from Aldi's, man. Bro, we used to sit and talk all day. You know what I'm saying?
I knew who you were.
Man, I smoke a lot of weed, so my memory was the worst.
Okay.
I just be honest. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to putting names and faces, it'd be off track a lot. But once it hit me, it took me all the way back.
Wow.
To Vision Street, my boy. You know what I'm saying? It took me all the way back. Like, oh, wow, okay. Now I know. And now I'm with family, so I can trust that. How important is working with friends and family and putting them in a better position for you? Because being a youth pastor, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? You're creating a family within the church. You know what I'm saying? You're molding the mass. But how important is that to be incorporated with your business as well?
I think it's highly important. Like I teach my kids, credit, and we talked about business and them potentially taking over the business. You just helped me remember what I was going.
Boom! I know it. Boom! That's how it works.
So it falls right along with this question.
Okay.
I always tell my wife, I'm gonna leave here one day. We all are.
Yeah, for sure.
And what I don't want to happen is for them to have to try to figure out life at that point. Because I've been the provider, I don't want them to have to figure it. I don't want her to have to go out there and work. Because one thing I've always wanted was my wife to always have the option to work.
For sure.
And God has blessed us to be able to do that. So I don't want something to happen to me and her to have to go and get a job to try to stay afloat and try to figure out life without dad and how to pay these bills and things like that. So it's very important. So I teach my kids about this, and I bought them laptops, and I've been teaching them. They do some of my disputes. They put some of my disputes together.
That's dope.
My wife, in most instances, she would take my postal packages up until I did a 9 to 5. Now I have time to do it myself. But I teach them these things because I tell them, like, if you can work for yourself and be successful, you want to do that. Because to be able to be in control of your time, it's like, here it is. I get up in the morning, freshen up, and go to work and go into the basement. And then if you all need me, I can pause my work and come upstairs and be there for you whenever you need me to be there, And it's no better feeling than to be there with your family for whatever. I readjusted my schedule yesterday because my wife wanted me to go to Aldi's with her to catch some deals. So we went to like 3 different Aldi's yesterday. But it was a great feeling to be able to do that for my wife. Yeah. So I think it's vitally credit piece is vitally. My wife scores her in the 700s. This is her second time. She messed it up. She was a repeat client. I'm gonna put it out there. I don't want to see you again. And she jokes, I'm gonna just have you fix it, and I ain't gonna pay you. Like I ain't fixing it again. But she's done very well the second time. The first time it's like an excitement. You're able to get approved for things that you weren't able to get approved for. Man, if you're not careful, you've been had 10, 12 credit cards, and you don't need that many credit cards. You falling for the okie doke at these retailers. You want to save 10%? Apply for this credit card. And so she kind of got caught off in that, but we got her fixed, and she's doing an excellent job. I don't even have to worry. I don't go check in on her because she knows how to manage her credit cards and everything. So it's important. I've worked with a lot of my family, helping them with credit. In the beginning, I think some were hesitant, and that's even Jesus said it. You're gonna find more supporters outside your hometown than inside your hometown. But I think what resonates with most people for me is I've been consistent. I think I could be wrong, but I feel like people find me as a credible source. They feel like they find me as a trustworthy source. I handle a lot of people's personal sensitive information. and I make sure that stuff is protected. Confidentiality is important to me. I don't reveal those things. But I think when people think of Maurice Holmes, they probably gonna think about three things in this order. I'll say order of priority: credit, cheesecakes, and landscaping. So because my name is so strongly, connected to credit, people begin to trust me more. So you can think about this. You'll be on your social media page, and it's somebody you know their life, you've known them, their bad spending habits, and out of nowhere, they make a post. If you need your credit repair, holler at me. I'll fix credit. You're like, come on, dog.
Yeah, man. See, now,
I ain't sending you my information.
Yeah,
it's because this is new, So I remember the first time I posted about credit, it was easier for me because I was doing people for free, and people wanted to give me a chance. And then I had results to show. But there was a lot more hesitation then. I don't even have to promote, and I don't say this boastfully. I say this as it's a blessing.
Yeah.
My business is 85% referral based. Every single day, I can show you multiple new clients looking for quotes every day in this phone.
Nice.
And 85% referral based, but that's because of the consistency. It's because I've been consistently doing credit for so long where people attach credit to Maurice,
Facts.
And even family members, some that probably were hesitant in the beginning, they slowly came around and they were able to see what, some of the techniques I have been able to do in fixing their situation. So I'm working on a sibling right now, trying to get them some property. So we're just about done with their credit. They should be finished off at like a high 600, low 7, and then we're going to go ahead and get them secured on some property of their own. So
that's what's up.
That's highly important. You want to make sure your family's taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we spoke about business credit, personal credit, strategies, God, family, kids, the importance of educating young. So let's talk about the future. Now, we know the future is, to be determined. It's all in God's hand and God's will. But at the same time, we are men of vision.
Definitely.
Yes, we have goals. You want a goal set. You say you put your to-do list out the day before, so you know what you're getting into. So let's just think 5 years from now. Where do you see yourself in the credit restore station?
Okay, so yeah, the credit restore station is definitely growing. It's growing. I was looking at financials over the last couple of years, and it's grown every year. And so yeah, I'm actually in the process of restructuring right now, adding some things to the business. What's coming down the pipeline is business startup services, where I will for a fee I'll help people start up their LLCs, whatever, S corps, C corps, just basically incorporate their business, get their EIN number, be a registered agent for a fee if they need me to be that. So business startup services are coming. I'm adding some more dispute option packages to the menu. And I was in a conversation yesterday with a couple agents from New York Life to become an affiliate broker with New York Life insurance. So they'll be, everything goes well with that. I'll have a page on my website where you can get mortgage protection, which I think is highly important. I have that for my family. I don't want them to worry about how to pay the mortgage if something happens to me. The house is going to be covered.
Paid for.
Financial protection, these are some of the things New York Life offers. So I would love to be able to help a client restart their life with the credit journey by building them up, and then secure some of these assets that they go after, like a home with mortgage protection, financial protection if they get injured at work and their workers' comp is only going to pay 60%. Well, this financial protection is going to cover the other 40% just to make sure they're not coming short anywhere. And to be able to offer that to my clients, I think is huge, So that's coming down the pipeline. And in 5 years, I look to be at a level where I'm able to employ multiple people in different states and open up different actual office spaces, the Credit Restore Station office spaces, and put people in, educate them on how to run these offices, doing the credit. And me taking my hands off the actual credit piece, but I'm teaching and building teams on how to help people fix their situation. And we want to always offer that free education, advice, guidance, counsel. We only charge for the work we do.
Right.
So that's something I stand on. our slogan is "Start changing tomorrow today," and a couple other slogans I always say is the first step is taking a step, and you can't get somewhere by going nowhere.
Facts.
So,
Facts.
just giving people that push. But in 5 years, my goal really is in the next 2 years. Within the next 2 years, I want to be able to bring a few people on board the team to start spearheading some of this. And with the growth that I'm seeing, I believe that's going to happen.
For sure. Yeah, I would love to see that too, man.
I appreciate
Straight
it.
up.
Man.
That's going to be dope. You ever thought about doing courses or webinars or anything of that nature?
I have. I actually connected, and I'm working on putting together a DIY credit course, as well as I'm working on an ebook called BK Begone. It's a bankruptcy removal process.
Okay.
But I connected with a lady from this agency. I have the name written down, and we had a Zoom meeting and we discussed it. But what she does is their corporation, it basically helps returning citizens, people coming out of prison that's interested in entrepreneurship. They basically help them to give them the skills of being an entrepreneur and returning to to civilization or whatever you want to call it. And so I'm going to be partnering with them, doing some courses, free courses, donating some of my time to teach some of these people that are incarcerated about credit, so they can have their credit together when they come out and starting this journey. So that's something I'm really excited about. So I've been working on a presentation for that and what that will look like. So it'll be some Zooms, and then she said I can even actually go into the prison and do some courses with about 20 inmates. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's huge, man.
That's cool. No, that is cool. That's very huge, because I was in another cat that I follow, 19 Keys, and I think he was the one that put me onto this. But when you got people that's doing time, you should, instead of putting money on their books, you want to make sure that they straight when they come out.
That's good.
So buy some stocks for them in their name. Build up their credit. So yeah, he might have went in, or she might have went in with a 400 credit score, but like you say, authorized users and all that stuff. By the time they come out, we got the discrepancies off and all that stuff. We got all the bad accounts off. She's coming out with a 7. They're coming out with a 6. Something they can boom buy 3 flat. Now they're in business. You know what I'm saying? Because there is no law that says that you're a felon and can't buy a house.
Yep.
They haven't done that. So, they might stop you from getting a job, but it doesn't stop you from being an entrepreneur.
Sure
so
don't.
if you come out with some assets underneath your belt, you know what I'm saying? You did your time, you reformed and all that good stuff. Now you got a foundation to go for it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's dope, man. I commend you on that. That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to doing it. And definitely keep you on the loop.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know, man. I'm wherever I can help, I'm here to help. Like I said, man, you've done a great service to me. I thought, not just as a testimonial, I thought, like I said, I was doing the 7-year situation. Like, oh, okay, I ruined my credit. Ruined it. And then be like, I got 7 years. I know how to hustle for 7 years and make it all make sense. And then we'll just deal with what come with it. You know what I'm saying? We'll just all deal with what come with it. And that was not cool. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole time, like you say, expectations. My wife's on one strategy, and I'm on a whole nother one. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they may intersect, and sometimes they're just running parallel, getting different results. And I would rather it be combined instead of, you know what I'm saying, 2 separate ones. And man, like I said, everybody was just talking like around the pandemic when COVID hit, because you know what I'm saying, money was coming around, and you getting your credit fixed. Everybody's talking about getting their credit fixed. Everybody's talking about they do credit as well, but I'm like, no, man, I didn't. Let me check my credit. Wait a minute, 7 years, it showed up, it came. All right, it's time now. Talked with you, man. You put me on game on so much stuff. You held my credit score out. Like last time when I what was that, a couple of weeks ago when I called you, like, man, thank you so much. Like, man, you have no idea. I've never seen my credit score at the limits they're at right now.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Only gonna get better.
Ever. And they're getting better. You know what I'm saying? And you're telling me like, hey, do this and watch it go better. I'm what? Really?
Simple steps.
I'm about to be one of them. I'm about to be in the 800, 700. Okay, let's see what that look like, because I know how to move in the low scores.
Right.
I can maintain in the low scores, but I'm about to be up. Okay. So seeing that and you helping not only me but my wife and putting us on that right path, man, it's been nothing but a blessing. So wherever you need me, my brother,
man, I appreciate
you
that.
Do next, straight up. If it can be done, it's done for real. I
Much
mean
respect.
that. I mean that. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I go all the way back to you were talking to me about family, and we were talking about how to keep all that stuff. I remember those conversations. Like, once it hit. Like, hey, man, we were raising a family about the same. All of us were. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our homies, we all started our family around the same time. So, you know, going back to that and seeing where we are now, it's like, yeah, man. True friend indeed. And God is amazing, man.
No doubt.
Much success to everything you got going on, my brother. And I pray that you not only achieve those goals, but things that you haven't even thought of that God has in store for you that you get to experience, man. Like, I want you to see all of it. I pray for your family, your daughter, your son, your wife, that all y'all just excel, man, and thrive, man, for real.
That, man.
For real. And all that you want to do. I mean that.
Much love,
Jesus'
man. I
name,
appreciate
man.
that.
Amen. All right, so tell the folks where they can meet you at. They're looking for you.
If you're looking for me, I have a website, thecreditrestorestation.com. You can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/credit rehabilitation, or you can just search the Credit Restore Station. I'm on TikTok. I give free tips on credit on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. And you can also reach me at 833-988-TCRS or 773-679-2162.
We'll make sure we put those in the comments as well. Not in the comments, but in the in the description of it. So make sure all the information is out there, man. We're gonna make sure when people come to you, get their credit restored by the credit restorer at the at the Credit Restore Station. You know what I'm saying? And I hope everybody had a good time. I had a great conversation, man. It was fun.
It definitely was, man. Definitely.
Man,
I'm encouraged.
Thank you. All right, y'all. This has been a great episode of Speak Life, man. Until next time. Later on.